The desperate mother, the marketplace on Station Nexus 7, buzzed with alien voices and the clatter of metal boots on steel grating. Zara pressed her back against a grimy wall, clutching her son Tommy closer to her chest. The 5-year-old boy had stopped crying hours ago, too weak from hunger to make any sound. His small human frame looked even more fragile, surrounded by the towering alien merchants and their exotic wares. Zara's stomach twisted with desperation. They had been refugees for 3 months now, ever since the Vorthan Empire had invaded their colony world of Haven Prime. She and Tommy were among the few humans who escaped in the evacuation ships, but refugee camps offered little more than survival. The small credits she had saved were gone, spent on the cheapest transport tickets that brought them to this lawless trading station. The aliens here cared nothing for human suffering. To them, humans were just another species struggling to survive. In a galaxy that showed no mercy to the weak, Zara had tried everything, begging for work, offering to clean their ships, even attempting to sell the few possessions she still carried. But no one would hire a human woman with a sick child. Tommy stirred weakly in her arms, his fever making him shiver despite the station's recycled heat. His lips were cracked, and his eyes had lost their bright spark. Zara knew she was losing him, and the thought made her chest tighten with raw terror. She looked around at the busy marketplace one more time. Reptilian saurians haggled over weapon parts, insectoid Clixon traded rare minerals, and hulking Bruthan mercenaries counted their earnings from recent jobs. Not one of them spared a glance for the desperate human mother and her dying child. Gathering what remained of her courage, Zara stepped into the center of the marketplace. Her voice cracked as she called out above the noise. "Please, anyone. My son is dying. I have nothing left to give, but please help him. Take my life if you want. Just give him food. Please." The marketplace gradually fell silent. Dozens of alien eyes turned toward her, some curious, others annoyed by the interruption. A few saurians hissed in disgust, while several Clixons simply turned away, clicking their mandibles in dismissal. Zara fell to her knees, holding Tommy up with trembling arms. Tears streamed down her face as she continued pleading. "He's just a child. He hasn't done anything wrong. Please, someone help him." The crowd began to disperse, conversations resuming as if her desperate plea meant nothing. Zara felt her heart breaking as she realized the awful truth. No one cared. In this vast galaxy filled with countless species, one human child's life meant absolutely nothing. The stranger's intervention, just as Zara began to collapse from exhaustion and despair, heavy footsteps approached. She looked up through her tears to see a figure moving through the crowd, not pushing or shoving, but somehow the alien stepped aside for him anyway. He was tall and broad-shouldered, wearing the practical clothes of a working spacer. His weathered face showed the marks of someone who had seen much of the galaxy's harsh realities. The man knelt down beside Zara, his movements careful and deliberate. When he spoke, his voice was gentle, but carried an underlying strength that made her look up. "Ma'am, my name is Marcus Webb. I heard what you said." Zara blinked at him, hardly daring to hope. Another human. She hadn't expected that. Marcus reached into his jacket and pulled out a nutrition pack, the kind spacers carried for long voyages. Without hesitation, he tore it open and offered it to Tommy. "Here, little guy. This should help." Marcus supported Tommy's head as the weak boy managed to take small sips of the nutrient-rich liquid. Almost immediately, some color returned to the child's pale cheeks. As Tommy drank, Marcus turned to Zara. "When did you two last eat a real meal?" 4 days ago, Zara whispered, her voice hoarse from crying. "I gave him my portion yesterday, but it wasn't enough. Nothing I do is enough." Marcus nodded grimly. He stood up and walked to a nearby food vendor, a Bruthan who who had been watching the scene with calculating eyes. The alien species was known for their greed and their complete lack of sympathy for other beings. 2 hot meals, Marcus said simply, placing credits on the counter. The good stuff, not the scraps you usually sell to desperate people. The Bruthan grunted and began preparing the food, his massive hands surprisingly gentle with the cooking implements. Within minutes, he handed over 2 steaming containers filled with protein chunks and nutrient vegetables. Marcus returned to Zara and sat down beside her on the dirty station floor, completely ignoring the stares from passing aliens. He helped her feed Tommy, who ate slowly but steadily, his strength gradually returning with each bite. "Why?" Zara asked quietly as she ate her own meal, the first proper food she had tasted in weeks. "Why are you helping us?" Marcus was quiet for a moment, watching Tommy's face regain its healthy color. "Because someone helped me once, when I had nothing left, and because ... He paused, looking around at the alien faces that watched them with cold indifference. "Because humans look out for each other. That's what makes us different." As they ate, Marcus learned their story. He listened without judgment as Zara described the invasion, the desperate escape, and the months of struggling to survive in refugee camps. When she finished, he made a decision that would change all their lives. "You're coming with me," he said simply. Part 3. An unexpected offer. Zara stared at Marcus in disbelief. "What do you mean?" Marcus helped Tommy to his feet, the boy now steady, enough to stand on his own. "I mean, you're both coming aboard my ship. I've got work that needs doing, and you look like someone who's not afraid of hard work." "But I don't know anything about spaceships," Zara protested, though hope was beginning to bloom in her chest. "I was just a teacher on Haven Prime. I can't—" "You can learn," Marcus interrupted gently. "And Tommy here looks smart enough to pick things up quick. Kids usually do." He ruffled the boy's hair, earning a small smile, the first Zara had seen from her son in weeks. Marcus led them through the stations, maze of corridors to the docking bay where his ship waited. The vessel was called the Defiant Spirit, a mid-sized cargo hauler that had seen better days, but was clearly well maintained. Its hull wore the scars of countless journeys through dangerous space. "She's not much to look at," Marcus said as they climbed aboard, "but she's reliable. Been my home for 8 years now." The interior was clean and functional, with everything secured for space travel. Marcus showed them to a small cabin with 2 bunks. "This'll be yours. It's not fancy, but it's safe and warm." Tommy immediately climbed onto one of the bunks and curled up, exhaustion finally overtaking him now that his belly was full. Zara tucked him in with shaking hands, still unable to believe their fortune docked in the ship's galley. Marcus explained his offer over cups of real coffee, a luxury Zara hadn't tasted since leaving Haven Prime. "I run cargo between the outer colonies and the core worlds. It's honest work, but it's dangerous. Pirates, corrupt officials, equipment failures. There's always something trying to kill you out there." "Then why do you do it?" Zara asked. Marcus smiled grimly. "Because someone has to. The colonies depend on supplies, medicine, news from home. And because I'm good at it." He leaned forward. "I could use help. Someone to handle communications, keep the ship clean, help with loading. Tommy's young, but he can learn basic maintenance, maybe even piloting eventually." Zara felt tears threatening again, but these were different, tears of gratitude rather than despair. "I don't know how to repay you." "You don't owe me anything," Marcus said firmly. "But I'll tell you something. Humans are rare out here in the frontier. Most aliens see us as weak, primitive, not worth their time. They think we're just another species that'll fade away when things get tough." He stood up and looked out the galley's small viewport at the alien-dominated station beyond. "But they're wrong. Humans have something most of these species lost long ago. We take care of our own. We don't abandon each other when things get hard. That's our strength. As if to prove his point, Tommy appeared in the doorway, looking much better after his nap. Mom, are we really going to live on a spaceship? Lessons in survival. 3 months had passed since Marcus rescued Zara and Tommy from Station Nexus 7. The Defiant Spirit had become their home, carrying cargo between frontier colonies and occasionally taking on passengers who needed discreet transportation. Zara had proven herself capable of learning quickly, handling ship communications and navigation with growing confidence. Tommy had adapted to ship life with the resilience of childhood. He spent his days learning basic engineering. From Marcus, studying star charts and practicing with the ship's educational programs. The boy had grown stronger and healthier, his natural curiosity flourishing in the safety of their new home. Their current destination was Kepler Station, a major hub where multiple trade routes intersected. As they approached the massive structure, Zara marveled at its size, easily 10 times larger than Station Nexus 7. With docking bays that could accommodate everything from small personal craft to massive corporate haulers. Stay alert here, Marcus warned as they prepared to dock. Kepler Station is where deals get made, but it's also where people disappear. Some of the most dangerous beings in the galaxy pass through here. The docking procedure went smoothly, and soon they were unloading their cargo, medical supplies bound for a colony that had suffered a plague outbreak. As they worked, Zara noticed other humans moving through the area. It was unusual to see so many of their species in one place. There's been talk, Marcus explained quietly as they secured the last of their cargo. Word is spreading about humans, helping other humans. People are starting to network, share information, look out for each other. That evening in the station's cantina, Zara saw what he meant. A human merchant named Rodriguez was organizing an informal meeting, bringing together human traders, mechanics, and even a few colonial officials. The conversation was hushed but urgent. The Vorthan Empire is expanding again, Rodriguez was saying. 3 more human colonies have been attacked. Refugees are scattered across dozens of stations with nowhere to go. What can we do? Asked a woman named Shun, who ran a small shipping business. We're outnumbered 1,000,000 to 1 out here. Marcus stepped forward. We do what humans have always done. We adapt, we survive, and we help each other. He gestured to Zara and Tommy. I found these 2 starving on Nexus 7. Now Zara's one of the best operators I've ever worked with, and Tommy's learning fast. But it's not enough, protested another trader. The aliens don't respect us. They see us as weak. Then we prove them wrong, Marcus said firmly. Every time we help. Another human, every time we succeed where they expected us to fail, we show them what we're really made of. The meeting continued late into the night, with plans forming for a loose network of human traders and travelers who would share information and resources. They would help refugees find work and passage, warn each other about dangerous areas, and slowly build something larger than the sum of their parts. As they returned to the ship, Tommy looked up at Marcus with admiration shining in his eyes. You're really brave, Marcus. Like a hero in the stories Mom used to tell me. Marcus knelt down to the boy's level. I'm not a hero, Tommy. I'm just a man who decided that doing the right thing was more important than doing the easy thing. The network grows 1 year later. The informal network Marcus had helped create had grown beyond anyone's expectations. What started as a few human traders looking out for each other had evolved into something much more significant. They called it the Human Relief Network, and it had quietly become one of the most effective refugee assistance organizations in the outer sectors. Zara had become the network's primary coordinator, using her position aboard the Defiant Spirit to maintain communications between scattered human communities. Tommy, now 7 and much taller, had developed an intuitive understanding of spacecraft systems that impressed even experienced engineers. Their current mission brought them to the fringe colonies, where reports had reached them of a massive refugee crisis. An entire human settlement had been destroyed by raiders, leaving thousands homeless and desperate. The local authorities, all aliens, had declared the situation not their problem and refused to provide aid. The Defiant Spirit was one of 12 human vessels that had answered the call. As they approached the refugee camp, Zara felt her heart sink. The conditions were even worse than what she and Tommy had endured. Families huddled in makeshift shelters, children cried from hunger, and the sick lay untended in the mud. But Marcus had taught her well. Instead of despair, she felt determination. "Tommy, start the medical scanner. We need to identify the most critical cases first." The relief operation that followed was a testament to human organization and compassion. While alien authorities watched in surprise, the human volunteers efficiently distributed food, medicine, and temporary shelter. Engineers repaired broken life support systems, doctors treated the injured, and teachers began organizing classes for the children. What impressed the alien observers most was how naturally the humans worked together. There was no complex hierarchy, no bureaucratic delays, just people helping people because it needed to be done. Governor Threx, the Mandorian administrator of the sector, approached Marcus as the operation continued. "This is unexpected," the lizard-like alien admitted. "My staff calculated it would take weeks to organize proper relief efforts. You accomplished more in 3 days than our emergency services could in a month." Marcus smiled. That's because we're not doing this for credits or political advantage. We're doing it because they're our people." The Mandorian's head tilted in confusion. "But many of these refugees are not from your world. Some are not even from your species' territory. Why do you claim them as your people?" "Because they're human," Tommy piped up, having overheard the conversation. "And humans take care of each other. That's what makes us special." Threx stared at the young boy for a long moment, then looked back at the relief operation where thousands of humans were receiving help from volunteers who had never met them before. For the first time, the alien administrator began to understand something fundamental about human nature. As the Defiant Spirit prepared to depart, carrying a dozen refugee families to new homes in the inner colonies, Zara reflected on how much had changed. A year ago, she had been willing to die just to get her son a meal. Now she was part of something that had saved thousands of lives. "Marcus," she said, as they watched the stars streak past the viewport, "do you think we're making a real difference?" Marcus put his hand on Tommy's shoulder as the boy studied his navigation charts. "Look around, Zara. One desperate mother, one stranger who decided to help, and now we've got a network spanning half the galaxy. If that's not making a difference, I don't know what is." In the months that followed, the Human Relief Network would grow into something even larger, a force that would eventually reshape humanity's place in the galaxy. But it all started with a simple act of kindness in a crowded marketplace, proving that sometimes the smallest gestures can change everything.